Headlines warn us daily. Chip shortages halt car production, smartphone launches delayed, defense systems face critical deficits. These aren't isolated incidents, they're symptoms of a deeper crisis, a battle for control over the resources that power our world. Our global supply chains, the lifeblood of modern life, are more fragile than we ever imagined. The pandemic exposed just how easily this intricate web can unravel. Factories stopped, store shelves emptied. The world realized how a single disruption can ripple everywhere. At the heart of this web are materials mined from the earth, rare, hard to process, and essential for everything from smartphones to wind turbines to advanced military tech. The fight for these resources is the invisible war of our era, a geopolitical chess game played with elements from the periodic table. The stakes: control over technology, green energy, and national defense. For decades, the world has grown dependent on a single source for these vital materials. That dependence is now a glaring vulnerability. The power to disrupt the global economy is concentrated like never before. This isn't just about shipping containers or logistics, it's about who controls the building blocks of the future. Technology may seem virtual, but it all starts with mining the right elements. These rare materials are the secret ingredients in our most prized innovations. The nation that controls them controls the future. The world is waking up to the reality. Supply chain disruptions aren't a question of if, but when. Are we prepared for the consequences? The tremors are already being felt across industries and governments. The time to act is now. The next global conflict may not be fought with armies, but with access to these critical resources. The question is, who will control the future? What are these critical materials? They're called rare earth elements, or REEs. Despite the name, they're not all that rare, but finding them in mineable concentrations is tough, and processing them is even harder. 17 metallic elements, including the lanthanides, scandium, and yttrium, make up this group. They're the unsung heroes of modern technology. Your phone's vibrant screen, that's europium and terbium. The tiny magnets in your speakers and motors, neodymium. Without rare earths, our devices would be bigger, slower, and less efficient, if they existed at all. Their importance goes far beyond gadgets. Modern defense systems rely on rare earths for powerful magnets in jet engines, missile guidance, and radar. Without them, national security is at risk. The green energy revolution also depends on rare earths. Wind turbines and electric vehicles need them for efficient motors and generators. As we push for a cleaner future, demand for these elements is set to soar. But there's a catch: mining and processing rare earths can be devastating to the environment. The paradox is clear. The technology to save the planet depends on materials that can harm it. The world faces a critical choice: how to secure these elements without sacrificing our future. How did China become the rare earth superpower? It started in the 1980s when the US led production with the Mountain Pass mine. China saw the strategic value and invested heavily, leveraging vast reserves, low labor costs, and lax environmental rules. Processing rare earths is dirty and expensive. Western nations shut down their mines, unable to compete. China flooded the market with cheap rare earths, driving out competitors and discouraging new investment. By the early 2000s, China controlled not just mining but the entire supply chain, especially the complex processing stage. Today, China mines about 60% of the world's rare earths, but processes closer to 90%. Even if other countries mine rare earths, they often send them to China for refining. This gives Beijing enormous leverage over global technology and defense. China turned a geological advantage into a geopolitical weapon. The world, lured by low prices, didn't see the trap until it was too late. Now, critical dependence on China is a reality the world can't ignore. For years, China's dominance was a distant worry, until 2010. A territorial dispute with Japan over East China Sea islands escalated when Japan detained a Chinese fishing captain. In response, China quietly halted all rare earth shipments to Japan. The impact was immediate. Japanese industries panicked, production lines stalled, and tech stocks plummeted. The message was clear: China controlled the elements Japan needed to survive. The embargo sent shockwaves worldwide. Suddenly, the threat was real for the US and Europe too. Rare earth prices skyrocketed, and the world realized how vulnerable it was. This wasn't just a trade spat, it was a demonstration of raw power. Japan eventually released the captain, and shipments resumed, but trust was shattered. The 2010 incident exposed a deep vulnerability in the global tech ecosystem. Governments and corporations everywhere woke up to the risk. Their prosperity and security depended on a single supplier. The race to break free from China's rare earth monopoly had begun. It was no longer a matter of choice, but of survival. The world had seen the weaponization of supply chains firsthand. The lesson was clear: diversify or risk disaster. The scramble for rare earth independence was on. The stakes had never been higher. The world would never look at supply chains the same way again. The 2010 crisis revealed just how interconnected and fragile our world is. Without rare earths, tech and manufacturing grind to a halt. Phones, cars, even MRI machines are at risk. A sudden cutoff could mean factory shutdowns, job losses, and economic chaos. National security is on the line. Relying on a rival for defense components is a critical failure. China's control lets it manipulate prices, punish rivals, and distort markets. The environmental cost is hidden but massive. Toxic waste, poisoned water, devastated communities. By outsourcing rare earth production, the world outsourced pollution and risk. This monopoly is unstable, threatening free trade and global stability. The price of dependence is far higher than the cost of the elements themselves. The world must confront the true cost of convenience. The lesson: resilience matters more than ever. The 2010 shock forced the world to act. First, countries are reopening old mines and exploring new ones, like Mountain Pass in California and projects in Australia, Canada, and Brazil. But mining takes years and huge investment. Recycling is the next frontier. Our e-waste is an urban mine rich in rare earths. Extracting these elements from discarded electronics could secure supply and cut pollution. Scientists are also racing to invent alternatives: new magnets, new materials, and new motor designs that use less or no rare earths. Governments are offering incentives, funding research, and building alliances to diversify supply chains. The goal isn't to replace China, but to create a resilient, competitive market. Every strategy, mining, recycling, innovation, matters. The race for rare earth independence is on, and the world can't afford to lose. The future depends on breaking the monopoly. The rare earth crisis is just the beginning. Tomorrow's battlegrounds will be over lithium, cobalt, and other critical minerals. Control is concentrated in a few countries, creating new vulnerabilities. Resource security will become as vital as energy or military security. Nations must invest in domestic industries, alliances, and innovation to avoid future choke points. New strategic blocs may form, with democracies banding together for secure, ethical supply chains. Technology will shape the future. Breakthroughs in materials science and AI could render today's monopolies obsolete. The contest for resources is also a race for innovation. The leaders in technology will write the rules of the new economy. The future belongs to those who prepare now. Are rare earths the new oil? The parallels are striking. Both are essential, both create dependencies, both can be weaponized. But there are key differences. Rare earths aren't consumed, they can be recycled, and the quantities needed are far smaller. This opens the door to a circular economy and strategic stockpiles, options oil never offered. Still, if we remain dependent on a single supplier, rare earths could wield the same disruptive power as oil once did. The choice is ours: diversify, innovate, and recycle, or repeat the mistakes of the oil age. The future of technology, security, and prosperity hangs in the balance. We can learn from history and build a more resilient world. The question isn't just about prediction, it's a challenge to act. Will rare earths define the next century, or will we chart a new course? The answer depends on what we do now. The stakes are global, the time to decide is now. The story of rare earths is still being written, in labs, boardrooms, and government offices. This issue touches technology, the economy, the environment, and security. It affects us all. Your choices as a consumer and citizen matter. Demand ethical sourcing, support recycling, and push for innovation. Engage with leaders, call for resilient supply chains and smart investments. The conversation is global, and every voice counts. What risks worry you most? What solutions inspire you? Should governments take the lead, or should markets decide? Share your perspective. Every idea helps shape the future. Don't be a bystander in this defining debate. Together we can build a secure, sustainable, and prosperous world. Join the conversation. Your voice